Hello! Welcome to Şakır Şakır İngilizce. I hope you're all well. Today, we're going to talk about our preferences. Let's begin. We use prefer or rather than for general preferences. I mean, in general preferences, we use the simple present tense. We use a subject and then the word prefer. When our subjects are I, we, you, and they, we use prefer, but when they are he, she, or it, we add an S after prefer and we use he prefers, she prefers, etc. Be careful. And when we talk about a negative sentence, we can also use don't prefer or doesn't prefer, but it is not so common. We generally use I prefer not to or he prefers not to. These structures are more common than the first one. Okay. I prefer not to go to the cinema. He prefers not to ride a bike, etc. Okay. Let's see the next picture. Here, I prefer coffee. Good. And so we add a noun after prefer. You can add a noun or something you prefer after the word prefer. I prefer coffee. Fine. I prefer chocolate. I prefer banana. I prefer English. Well done. Okay. Let's see the next one, the next example. He prefers tea. Here, in general preferences, we use the simple present tense, so we say he prefers tea. But I prefer coffee. Okay, I like coffee in general. Okay. So, you can also prefer something to another thing. So, I can say that I prefer coffee to tea. With the preposition to, you can say your comparison. I prefer coffee to tea. Good. When you prefer something, you should say the noun at the beginning, then after to, you say something that you do not prefer generally. Okay. I prefer coffee to tea. Good. But he prefers tea to coffee. We have two nouns here, and we say I prefer something to something, or he prefers something to something. So we can say that he prefers tea to coffee. Okay, let's see this example. If there is an action verb, if there is an action that we prefer something, doing something to doing something, we can use the structure I prefer reading to cycling. Okay, and as in the example, and this example shows us, I prefer playing computer games to reading a book. My preference is playing computer games, okay? And his prefer is, he prefers reading a book to playing a computer game. He generally prefers reading, not playing computer games. Good. Be careful. you should add an ing after the verb here. Okay. I prefer drinking coffee to drinking tea. I prefer drinking coffee to tea. In this example, if there is the action verb the same for both activity, we only use, we can only use, it's not a general rule, you can use both of them, but we generally use the first one. And we say, I prefer drinking coffee to tea, or as in this example, he prefers drinking tea to coffee. Drinking. Be careful, you can use only one for the same action. Okay. And you may only say that I prefer dancing, I prefer drinking coffee, I prefer climbing. It's also okay. You can also say that to prefer doing something only. Okay. She's so cute. Okay. In this example, he prefers watching 3D movies. We didn't compare anything here. Be careful. We only say our preferences. Maybe you can sometimes compare two things or just say your preference. Okay. And another example, I prefer to drive a car rather than ride a motorbike. Here we use the structure rather than. Rather than compares two things, but this time we do not add an ing after the verb. We use the basic verb here. He prefers to walk rather than run. He prefers to walk rather than run. Okay. So we compared his also preference. And another example, she prefers to drink orange juice rather than tea. Okay, she generally prefers drinking orange juice, but she also sometimes drinks tea. Okay, rather than, here we compare, and be careful, we do not use an ing form. Okay, he prefers to play with his dog rather than video games. So here also again we have the word play common, so we use only once. Okay. And more examples, I prefer cinema, Mehmet prefers theater, we prefer playing tennis, he prefers watching horror movies, you prefer apple to orange, Mary prefers candies to chocolate, they prefer using phones to computers, she prefers listening to rap to pop, I prefer going out to staying at home, my dad prefers driving to cycling, I don't prefer dogs, he doesn't prefer long walks. I prefer not to watch soap operas. Dennis prefers not to wear blue jeans. I prefer to dance rather than sit here. She prefers to read rather than swim. Be careful. These are all general preferences. In generally, they prefer these things. And when we look at these structures, we can see all of them here. There are three important rules. We can compare two nouns, two things. We can compare two events, activities, or by using rather than, we can also compare two things or events we like. Let's exercise ourselves. Which sport does he prefer? He prefers football. Up to now, if you like this video, please subscribe. Do not forget to subscribe our channel. Okay. Which sport does your grandpa prefer, football or chess? He prefers chess to football. Good. And another example. We have only one verb here, play. He prefers playing chess to football. We do not need to use here another verb again, the verb play again. And with the verb eat, we can also say that she prefers eating ice cream to pizza. Which do you prefer? Tell me. Write under the comments. Listen and watch. I prefer listening to music to watching TV. Good. Summer and winter. She prefers summer, so we can say that we prefer summer to winter with the subject we. Okay. And for specific preferences, not for general, for the specific or the moment we speak, at the moment, we can use would rather or would prefer. They are the same things and different structure, but they mean the same things, and we use would prefer or would rather. We can shorten it. I'd prefer, you'd prefer with all the subjects. This is the construction with us apostrophe D. Would prefer, and we can also say that I'd prefer tea or I'd prefer coffee. I generally prefer coffee, but this time, today, I prefer tea. It may be you can prefer something else because it's a specific time. I prefer jam and bread. Okay, as he is eating, he generally maybe not eating it, but today he prefers to have bread and jam. Okay. Prefer, when we use would prefer, we should add the preposition to here before the verb. Would prefer to, or I'd prefer to, she'd prefer to. You can also write the construction form. Look at this picture. They prefer to camp. This time, they prefer to camp. In general, they prefer, maybe they can prefer going to the beach, but it's a specific time. Okay. Shall we go by train? This is example explains this much more clearly, I think. Shall we go by train? I prefer to drive, but be careful, you shouldn't use I prefer to driving. No, no, no. You cannot add an ing form here. How about going to the movie theater this afternoon? And she says, I prefer to stay at home rather than go to the movie theater. I prefer to follows a verb here, stay, and we have another verb here, to go. Okay. Would rather do or would prefer to do. Be careful by using these structures. They have the same meaning but different structures. So we say would rather do, would rather play, would rather go, and we say would prefer to go, would prefer to do, etc. And let's see this exercise again. Shall we go by train? I'd rather drive. Not I'd rather to drive. No, be careful. So when we use rather, we only use the verb, the basic verb. Or you can also say this sentence which would prefer. This time, I'd prefer to drive is your correct sentence. Okay. How about traveling to Rome? I'd rather travel to Turkey than Rome. It is a specific time. This time, This time I want to travel to Turkey. Okay, let's see the examples again here. Jake, let's buy a blue t-shirt. Claire, I'd prefer to buy the green one. It's on sale. That is our reason. We have a reason to say this sentence. And shall we invite the whole family to your birthday party? I'd rather invite them to Granny's backyard. It's big enough. Okay. Why don't we go to the movie theater tomorrow? I'd prefer to go to the theater. There's a great play then. So as you see, we have specific reasons for these activities, for our preferences. Good. Let's overview and summarize this grammar structures. In general, let me explain to you. In general, when we use our general preferences, we can use these three structures. I prefer coffee to tea. Here we have two nouns and two to compare the nouns here. Okay. And the second one is there is an action we prefer to another action. So we can say that he prefers reading a book to playing a computer. Here we should also add an ing and use the gerund form of the prefer. He prefers reading a book to playing computers. This is his general preference. Okay. And the third one, when we use rather than, I prefer to drive a car rather than ride a motorbike, we do not use the ing form. Be careful. These structures are different. We use prefer and gerund form, and then to, and then another gerund form of the verb. Okay. And with rather than, we say, I prefer to drive a car rather than ride a bike. Here we have the basic forms of the verbs. Okay. And for the specific uses, when we have an urgent or recent plan or recent wish to tell these things, we can use the structures here. I'd prefer to camp. I'd rather drive. You can only use a noun or an action maybe. I'd rather travel to Turkey than Rome. And this time we compared rather than, I prefer Turkey rather than Rome also. Okay. I'd rather stay at home rather than go to the movie theater. And this part, in specific uses, we do not mention our general preferences. Let's test yourself, and I will stop talking. Good. Yes, she prefers salad. Good. I prefer soap operas. Good. Prefer and to again. If you like, you can stop the video and think more if you like. Yes, prefer to and rather than. Now, thanks for watching this video. I hope you did well, you understood everything, and if you want to give some more examples, you can write under the video so that I can understand how much you learned about it. So that's all for today. See you in the next videos. Thanks for coming and watching my video. If you like, You can also share and subscribe. See you in the next video. Goodbye.